Hello mga kamaestro, welcome back to my channel, and this is another edition of my vlog, and the topic for today is about our PRC ID and Certificate of Registration. But before that, if you are not yet a subscriber to my channel, subscribe now, click the notification bell so that you will be notified for the next vlog. And if you're ready, then let's begin. Okay mga kamaestro, let's start with the topic on our PRC ID. No? I choose this topic kasi maraming nagsasabi that our PRC ID is a license. So we will clarify now kung ito ba talaga ay lisensya. Okay? So usually pagka ikaw ay pumasa sa exam, ang next thing na mangyayari sa iyong buhay is that you will be issued a certificate of registration, and you will take a solemn undertaking of the oath of professions. So, pag nag-take ka ng oath, usually nakaka-receive ka ng envelope from the PRC, and nandun nakalagay ang iyong certificate of registration and yung PRC ID. Okay? So, sinasabi nila that the PRC ID is your professional license to practice your profession. But contrary to popular belief, the PRC ID is not a professional license. It is merely a professional identification card. Hindi yun lisensya. Ang ating authority to practice was vested to us by our issued certificate of registration. Doon nyo yun makikita at doon nyo nababasa na binibigyan ka ng pribilehiyo ng gobyerno na mag-practice ka na ng profession. Okay, saan makikita ang profession na yon? Wala yan sa Republic Act 9266. Ang sinasabi lang sa Republic Act 9266 na pag ikaw ay pumasa, you will be issued a certificate of registration. But the one governed, or the law that governs the issuance of the certificate of registration on the admission to the practice of a profession, nasa RA 8981, the PRC Modernization Act of 2001. So, ano ba ang nakalagay doon sa RA 8981? Pag binasa natin yung RA 8981, Section 7, Paragraph E, nakalagay doon isang powers and functions ng commission or the PRC is to admit the successful examinees to the practice of the profession or occupation, cause the entry of their names on its registry book and computerized database. Iyon yung registry book of professionals. And issue a certificate of registration / professional license bearing the registrant's name, picture, and registration number signed by all the members of the board and the chairperson, with the official seal of the board and the commission affixed thereto, which certificate of registration shall be the authority to practice. Malinaw dito sa Section 7, Paragraph E, that the authority to practice a profession is doon yon sa issued certificate of registration. Pag tinignan natin yung dugtong sa RA 8981 Section 7 Paragraph E, nakalagay dun yung dugtong niya sa sentence na word, sa sentence na yon. And at the option of the professional concerned, ministerially issue the professional identification card to be used solely for purposes of identification. So malinaw ang sinasabi ng batas, okay, na ang duty ng PRC dapat sa pag-issue ng PRC ID is only ministerial, hindi siya mandatory. In fact, sinasabi ng batas, no, na ang ating PRC ID is only for the use solely for the purpose of identification upon payment of the appropriate amount. In fact, the law also provides na sinasabi at the option of the professional concerned. Ibig sabihin, wala dapat sa pilitan. Kasi sinasabi ng batas, and at the option lang. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na kailangan mandatory. Yun ang sinasabi, napakalinaw at sa ating statutory of construction, pagka malinaw ang sinasabi ng batas, there is no room for interpretation. Okay? So ngayon, nagtataka kayo bakit natin nire-renew yan. No? Ang PRC, merong resolution na i-renew yung PRC ID sa mga gusto na magkaroon ng PRC ID. But ito ay nagiging practice na nire-renew natin every 3 years and we pay for the appropriate amount. Yun ang sinasabing payment of the appropriate amount. Ngayon, pag tinignan natin, di ba, napaka-ironic that you are getting a CPD points for an optional ID. No? So, I don't know what happens, no, and even our practice, no, today is that we believe that this PRC ID is mandatory for every professionals. In fact, it was misunderstood by the majority na ito ay professional license. Okay? Ang ating PRC ID is hindi talaga professional license. Pag binasa ninyo ang nakalagay sa PRC ID, malinaw dyan sa front ng card, malinaw dyan na nakalagay is professional identification card. Hindi dyan nakalagay na professional license card. Pag tinignan nyo yung likod ng PRC ID, mababasa mo doon, no, nakalagay doon certification. Okay? And ano sinasabi doon? This is to certify that the person whose name, photograph, and signature appear herein is a duly registered professional legally authorized to practice his or her profession with all the rights and privileges appertinent thereto. This is to certify further that he or she is a professional in good standing and that his or her certificate of registration, professional license has not been suspended, revoked, or withdrawn. Ibig sabihin, sinicertify lang ng ID na yon na ang iyong certificate of registration is not revoked, suspended, or withdrawn. Bakit? Dahil ang iyong certificate of registration, pagka yun ay na-revoke, na-suspended, na-withdraw, wala ka ng authority to practice your profession. So, hindi sinasabi ng PRC ID na yan ay lisensya. O, kahit wala kang PRC ID, pwede. Ang problema lang at ang kinatatakutan ng lahat, na pagka ikaw ay walang PRC ID na updated, ang building official ay hindi tumatanggap ng iyong pinipirmahang sign and seal, which is wrong. No? Kasi, pag tinignan natin, wala naman talaga sa revised IRR ng PDT 96 or even in PDT 96 na kailangan mo mag-submit sa Office of the Building Official ng iyong copy ng PRC ID, no? Granting, no, na kailangan kailangan i-secure ng Office of the Building Official that the one who signed and sealed the plans and specifications is registered professionals. Dapat ang hihingi nila is the copy of your certificate of registration kasi yun ang authority to practice, yun ang lisensya mo. Hindi dapat nila hihingin ang PRC ID kasi ang sinasabi ng batas, optional lang at the option of the professional concerned. Saka ka lang dapat bibigyan ng PRC ID. Ngayon, sumulat ako sa PRC noon, no, and diniscuss ko sa PRC yung issue na to. Okay, ang sinabi ng PRC, ang sagot nila sa akin, dahil daw nagkaroon na ng RA 10912, yung CPD law, na-amend daw itong portion na to, no, which hindi ako satisfied doon sa sagot ng PRC. But wala pa naman nagko-complaint, no, sa court. But napakalinaw ng sinasabi ng batas that the PRC ID is optional, no? And it is only at the option of the professional concerned kung gusto niya magkaroon ng PRC ID. So I just want to clarify and I just want to take note that ang ating certificate of registration, yun ang ating lisensya. Kaya nga kailangan nyo pakakaingatan yon, no? Kailangan hindi mo mabasa, hindi masunog. Kasi pagka yan ay nawala at humingi ka uli sa PRC, nag-request ka ng panibago, hindi na yung nakapirma doon nung pumasa ka, ang nakapirma doon bago na. No? So parang, di ba, pag binasa ng iba doon, pumasa ka ng 1980s for example, tapos ang nakapirma doon is 2020. No? So parang ang pangit tingnan. Okay? So, yun ang dapat pakaingatan, ang ating certificate of registration. Okay? So, malinaw yon, no, na ang ating certificate of registration is yun ang ating professional license and nagbibigay sa atin ng ating authority to practice. Okay? So, di ba napaka-ironic? No, you will get CPD points for that optional ID. No? And sinasabi nila hindi ka pwedeng mag-practice pagka ikaw ay expired yung PRC ID mo. The answer is no. No, you can practice your profession under the law, hindi yun lisensya. No? Nagiging practice na lang yun at nasanay na lahat. In fact, merong isang oath taking, I think if I'm not mistaken, 2017 or 2016, na sinabi rin ni Chairman Robert Sachs sa kanyang delivery speech doon sa oath-taking na yon, that the PRC ID is not a license. No? And sinabi niya na yung certificate of registration is the license at that is the one who give us the authority to practice.
Take note, the ID is a representation of your license to practice. ID is not your license. ID is simply identification card representing your license. And you must always safeguard your architect certificate of registration, which is your license, and architect seal, especially from unauthorized use by others, even your own kin.
But sinabi niya doon na the PRC ID represents the certificate of registration, which I disagree. No, kasi hindi talaga nagre-represent yung PRC ID. It only certifies you na hindi na-revoke, hindi na-withdraw, at hindi na-suspend ang iyong certificate of registration. Kasi yun ang malinaw na nakalagay sa ating PRC ID. So, kung malinaw na nakalagay sa batas, wala nang room for interpretation. So, the essence of the PRC ID is only for purposes of identification. Talagang ID lang yan talaga. Hindi talaga siya professional license. Yun daw sa lawyers, ganun din. Walang professional ID na binibigay yung Supreme Court. It is only certification na napakalaking certificate. No? Ang meron lang ang mga lawyers is only the IBP membership ID, which is yun na equivalent dapat doon sa IAPOA ID and not this PRC ID. Okay? So, merong isang instance na itong PRC ID is napansin din ng isang prominent lawyer. No? Yung lawyer na to is si Attorney Dumondon. Prominent lawyer siya and the reviewer sa taxation. No? Kilalang kilala siya sa industry. Okay? Sinabi rin ni Attorney Dumondon doon sa kanyang libro, no, yung book niya na 50 Years of the Bar and Beyond, no? Ano yun? Taxation book. Nakalagay din doon sa kanyang libro na sinabi niya, furthermore, RA number 8981, the PRC Modernization Act of 2000, does not require renewal of the professional license or registration of professionals. There is merely a requirement for the payment of registration fees once every 3 years. The securing of professional ID cards is merely optional. So, biruin mo yon. Even si Attorney Dumondon, sinabi niyo yun sa kanyang libro. Kasi ang dinidiscuss niya doon is local taxation, yung pagkuha ng PTR. So, may mga instances kasi na pag pumunta ka sa Treasurer's Office, pag wala kang bit-bit na PRC ID, hinihingi nila yon eh. No? Pag wala kang bit-bit na PRC ID, hindi ka bibigyan ng PTR. So, dapat hindi. Kasi, kahit wala kang PRC ID, kung nakaregister ka sa Professional Regulation Commission at hindi na-suspend, hindi na-revoke yung certificate of registration, may authority ka to practice your profession. You know, the reason lang naman na dati kung bakit iniingay ng building officials yung ating PRC ID noon. Nung hindi pa masyadong computerization, they need to validate kung talagang you are really a registered professionals, no? Hindi nila alam na hindi naman yung lisensya, no? So, ngayong computerization na, dapat nga hindi nila hihingin yon dahil on the database of PRC, pwede nila i-check anytime yung PRC number mo and malalaman na dapat doon kung ikaw ay registered professional, no? So, yung paghingi ng PRC ID is an obsolete way, no, to determine that you are registered in the Book of Professionals ng Professional Regulation Commission. And in fact, dapat kung yan ang gusto nila, ang hihingin dapat nila is the copy of Certificate of Registration and not the PRC ID. Okay? So that's for today, guys, and I hope that lahat tayo is nalidawan kung ano ba talaga itong PRC ID at ano ang ating Certificate of Registration. Okay? So God bless to all.